It's customary between Passover and Shavuos, and then again from Shavuos throughout the summer weeks, to study Pirkei Avot, to study ethics of our fathers. And it's interesting to note that before we begin the chapter of ethics of our fathers, we begin with a statement and a verse, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek le'olam haba. Every Jew has a place in the world to come. Shene'emar, as it says, v'amech kulam tzadikim, that all your people are righteous, all the Jews are tzadikim, and le'olam yishu aretz, they will inherit the land forever. Neitzer mata'ai, they are the branches of my plantings. Ma'aseh yodai li'ispoer, my handiwork in which to take pride. In other words, God takes pride in every Jew, and He says every Jew is a tzaddik, every Jew is holy, is righteous, and because of that they will inherit the land forever. This statement and this verse is actually not from Pirkei Avot, it's not from Ethics of Our Fathers, but rather it comes from a Mishnah in the Tractate of Sanhedrin. And the question is, why do we mention this and why do we recite this before each of the 6 chapters in Ethics of Our Fathers, between Passover and Shavuos, and again from Shavuos up until Rosh Hashanah? Why is it so important that we added this additional phrase and this additional statement of Kol Yisrael, every Jew has a place in the world to come? To understand this, Pshat and Rebbe and Sudrur Soit, and also Chassidus, to understand it on 5 different levels. On the level of Pshat, and the simple interpretation, the Bartanura tells us that the meaning of Olam Haba, the world to come, does not mean, like some commentaries explain, paradise, which is the soul's afterlife. After a person leaves this world, so the soul goes to Gan Eden, paradise. But rather, Olam Haba, the world to come, says the Bartanura, alludes to Olam HaTechiyah, the world of the resurrection of the dead. And because we are dealing here with the resurrection of the dead, every single Jew will have a place in that world to come. When it comes to paradise, not every Jew goes to paradise, as we shall soon see. However, when it comes to Olam HaTechiyah, the world of resurrection, then we say every Jew will be resurrected after Mashiach will come. So why do we say this statement before the reading of Ethics of Our Fathers? Because Ethics of Our Fathers deals with primarily action, practical deeds, not so much the study of Torah. When it comes to the study of Torah, there are those who are great Torah scholars, but there are also those who are ignoramuses and they can't read Hebrew and they can't study the Talmud. And they may feel, if I don't understand all these things, I have no place in the world to come. Comes along Ethics of Our Fathers, and it says that the world to come means the world of resurrection. And that is a world of reward for mitzvahs maisiyos, for practical deeds. Paradise is the reward for Torah study. And therefore, there are those who don't study Torah and therefore will not go to paradise. But once Mashiach will come, every Jew will be resurrected with the dead. And the reason is because the Talmud tells us, Afilu Pirkei Yisrael, Meleim mitzvahs karimain, even the most wicked of the Jews, they are filled with mitzvos like the pomegranate. And just like a pomegranate has many, many seeds, so too every Yid has many mitzvahs. And by learning Ethics of Our Fathers, which inspires a Jew to do more practical good deeds, therefore one earns his place in the world of resurrection. And therefore by saying this statement, it encourages a person to do more practical deeds and to refine his deeds and to become a better person. However, the Ethics of Our Fathers is not only read by simpletons or by those who don't study Torah, but rather it's read by every Jew. Kol Yisrael, all the Jews are supposed to read Ethics of Our Fathers. And this is, by the way, hinted in the word Kol Yisrael, every Jew. The Chidah says that Kol is an acronym for Kohen and Levi, Chaf and Lamed, Kohen Levi, and then the word Yisrael. For every Jew must study ethics of our fathers, and every Jew has a place in the world to come. So goes the ethics of our fathers and teaches us that this is not only true for one who is simple, but even one who is a great Torah scholar and one who is truly holy also must study ethics of our fathers. Because as the Gemara says, that one who wants to be a chassid should study ethics of our fathers, because it teaches us how to go beyond the letter of the law. And therefore, no matter how much one has accomplished and one has already fulfilled, one can always do more and refine themselves more and more. So this is one reason, the reason of Pshat, of why we read the pasuk of Kol Yisrael before ethics of our fathers. What is the remez? What is the hint? The hint is that Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chedek le'olam haba, that every Jew will be resurrected after the coming of Mashiach. And that is really very encouraging and very inspiring. But the question is, why does it say the term chelek le'olam haba? Every Jew has a share or a part or a place in the world to come. Why does this terminology chelek le'olam haba? Why couldn't it simply say Kol Yisrael, every Jew has the world to come? Yesh le'olam haba. Why chelek? Because in truth, there are many layers and many levels to the world to come. Chelek is the first level, but then there's also a higher level of ben, a son or a daughter of the world to come. And then mezuman, one who is prepared and deserves a place in the world to come. And so the remez, the hint is that every Jew will truly be there. However, one must strive to go higher and to acquire not only a place in the world to come, but also to truly become a ben, a son of the world to come, and to become one who is mezuman, one who is truly fit and prepared and deserving of the world to come. What is drush? So again, we focus on the concept of chelek. What does it mean that every Jew has a place in the world to come? How do we understand this? So first and foremost, we find that the Chida also mentions that if you take the words Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek le'olam haba, every Jew has a place in the world to come, and you look at the last letter of all of these words, the Lamed of Kol and the Lamed of Yisrael and the Shin of Yesh and the Mem of Lehem and the Kuf of Chelek, etc., etc. You take the last letters, the Seifei Tevis of all these words, and you add them up together. What do you have? It equals 541. 541 is the same gematria as the word Yisrael, implying again that every Jew has a place in the world to come. But what's the difference? The difference can be understood as follows, according to Drush. When you come to a wedding, there are many people that come to the wedding. First are the family members, the brothers, the sisters, the bubbas, the zaydis. And then you have the close friends. And then in many weddings you also have a table for guests, paupers, the aniyim, the poor people of the community. If they need a place to eat, they come to the wedding and there's a table set just for them. When it comes to the wedding, and when it comes to the dancing, what do you see? Usually in the inner circle is the chassan, and on the women's side the kala, and around the chassan and the kala are the parents and the immediate family. Then there's a wider circle. Those are the close friends. And then there are those who are the paupers, and they are also standing on the side. They're clapping and they're doing a little dancing, but they don't feel that they're really part of the inner circle. And therefore, the Drush tells us that you should know it's true that every Jew will have a place in the world to come. If that is the case, why should I work? Why should I do Torah and mitzvahs? I have a place. I have a Yerusha. What's a Yerusha? A Yerusha is an inheritance. A child is 1 day old, and he has a millionaire father, and his father dies. So the child inherits all the money. He's 1 day old, he did nothing, he gets all the money. So look, we get all the world to come. I did nothing, I was just born a Jew, and I already acquire it. So comes along the Drush and says, yeah, it's true. You acquire a place in the world to come. However, are you from the paupers, or are you from the inner circle? If you simply inherit a place in the world to come, then you have a chelek, a simple part. But if you want to acquire a higher level, to be part of the close friends, or even part of the immediate family, and perhaps even the groom and the bride, then you have to work on it. You have to study, and you have to perform good deeds, and you have to go beyond the letter of the law. And by doing so, you will acquire more things. And this is also found in the word chelek itself. Chelek means a piece of property. You could have a piece of property that has thorns. You can have a piece of property that you work and you have from this an orchard. And then you can have a piece of property that you build a nice house. And then you have a piece of property that you build a skyscraper. They're all the same piece of property. One is worth a few $100s, one is worth a few $1,000s, and the other is worth a few $100 million. It's up to you what you do with the chelek. So therefore the Durush reminds us that yes, it's true. Every Jew, no matter who he is, because of the fact that he has a spark, a chelek elikam emal mamish, he has a chelek, a part of God in him, therefore automatically that Jew is deserving of having a place in the world to come. We are all children of God. We are children of the King of all kings. However, do you want to be on the side clapping, an observer, or do you want to be a participant in the center of the circle? What is the Soid? What does the esoteric tell us? According to Kabbalah, it explains the difference between Gan Eden, which is paradise, the world of souls, and the concept of Olam Haba, the world of resurrection. It's interesting to note that the Rambam, when he comments here on the Mishnah of Kol Yisrael, he leaves out the words of Neitzer Matai, Masa Yodeh Lisper. The Rambam leaves out the words that the Jews are the branch of God's plantings and the handiwork in which God takes pride. He simply says that every Jew is a tzaddik, every Jew is righteous, and therefore has a place in the world to come. The Rambam translates this Mishnah to refer to the world of souls. That when it comes to the world of souls, that's going to be the ultimate place and the ultimate destination of a Jew. And therefore, ultimately, all the souls would get there. However, most of the commentaries explain that this represents the world where the soul will be reunited into the body. And that will be the ultimate destination. And that will be the ultimate life of a Jew, the soul in the body for all eternity. And therefore it hints to this by bringing down the passage of Neitzer Matai, Amasa Yodeh Lisper, that we are God's handiwork. The hand is physical, implying the physical guf, the physical body. And the soul is implanted into the body. And therefore we use these two terminologies of the branch of my plantings. The soul is planted into the handiwork of God, the physical body of a Jew. Because the purpose of every soul is to come into the body to do the work. So in Kabbalah it says that Gan Eden is a world of ta'anug. It's a world of pleasure. What's the pleasure? The pleasure is of the study of Torah. That a person who studies Torah in this world goes up to paradise and studies that same Torah again. But they study the Torah on a totally different level. And therefore they have a tremendous, tremendous pleasure in understanding all the deep insights to the Torah. And therefore it says Fortunate is one who comes here and he has the Torah in his hand. Why? Because you need the Torah in order to receive the insights to the Torah. However, this pleasure is so great that the Talmud says it's worth to go to Gehenna. The soul says to God, I would rather go to hell, to go to Gehenna, to go to purgatory, to be purified, so that I will receive a greater place in paradise. Because it says that 1 hour of hell, 1 hour of purgatory is worse than a life of 70 years of pain and suffering. And the same is true with paradise, that 1 hour of paradise is greater than a life of pleasures and riches. And therefore, sometimes the soul in this world suffers so that it gets a greater place in the world to come. But this world to come, Kabbalah says, is called Mamali Kol Almin, is from the all-pervading lights. And therefore, because it's Mamali Kol Almin, it's a light that is a limited light, therefore the body cannot go into paradise. Because this light is so great, but it has its reservations, it has its limitations, and it needs a vessel to be able to absorb the light. The body, however, is physical and finite, and therefore it cannot absorb this light of paradise. And therefore the body has no right to enter into paradise. On the contrary, it's going to shatter if it goes into paradise. And therefore, for the soul to enter into the paradise, it must first die. The body has to die and cease, and now the soul receives entrance and permission to go into paradise. This is true with Gan Eden, this is true with paradise. When it comes to Olam Haba, the world to come, Olam HaTechiyah, the world of resurrection, the light of this world is a much greater light. This is called the light of the Sovev Kol Almin, the all-encompassing light. The all-encompassing light is like a circle. The circle has no head and has no tail. And therefore everybody is able to enter into this world of resurrection, and even the soul with the body. There's no contradiction. That is the greatness of this light. How do we know that paradise is so great? In other words, how do we know that the world of Techiyah, the world of resurrection, is greater than paradise? The answer is very simple. That Moshe Rabbeinu, who is already in paradise over 3,300 years, and the souls of the forefathers Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, who are there already 3,500 years. And 3 times a day, the soul goes higher and higher. And on the day of the Yartzeit, on the day of the passing, the soul has a quantum leap. So Moshe Rabbeinu already had 3,300 quantum leaps. And the soul of the forefathers and the matriarchs had already 3,500 quantum leaps. And yet they want to come down into the body. They want to be resurrected with the dead, implying that this revelation and this pleasure that will take place once the soul returns to the body is truly greater than the pleasure that the soul receives in paradise. This is the concept of Sovev Kol Almin, the all-encompassing light. What does Chassidus say? Chassidus has a question, and that is, why is it that if the world of Techiyah, the world of resurrection, the Olam Haba, the world to come, is truly greater than paradise, why is it that all of the souls have a right to entry into this world of resurrection? You would think just the opposite. Because it's such a great world, only those who are eligible and only those who are worthy will have the opportunity to enter into this world of resurrection. Yet we say Kol Yisrael. We encourage every Jew to do physical mitzvahs. And we say by doing a physical mitzvah, you're going to have entry into this world of resurrection of the dead. And yet, these souls that were not eligible to enter into paradise will be eligible to go into this world of resurrection. And the answer is that the whole purpose of creation was that God desired a dwelling place down here in this world. God wanted a dira lo yizbarech b'tachtonim. How does one create a dwelling place for God in this world? One creates a dwelling place for God in this world by doing physical deeds. And even though on one hand, when it comes to physical deeds, we are all equal, because the action is the main thing, ma'asehu iker, the main thing is the deed. And when it comes to the deed, it's not so much the emotion or the kavanah or the concentration or the meditation or the intention behind it. The most important thing is giving the charity to the poor person and putting on the tefillin and lighting the Shabbos candles. Of course, when you do it with a proper kavanah and you do it with proper meditation and intention, it elevates the deed. But the most important thing is the action. And therefore, by doing the action, that is the way we create a dwelling place for God down here in this world. And this action comes from God's desire, God's ratzon. God's ratzon, God's desire, is even higher than God's intellect. And that is why if a person truly desires something, even a simple person can understand deep things. You can change your intellect based on your desire. So because God truly desires to have a dwelling place down here in this world, and He desires us to create this world by doing physical deeds, therefore every Jew is eligible to the world of resurrection because of the fact, as we said earlier, even the wicked people amongst the Jews are filled with seeds like a pomegranate. They are filled with many, many mitzvos, many, many good deeds. So by learning Pirkei Avos, which encourages us to do more good deeds, and by introducing the Pirkei Avos by Kol Yisrael, no doubt this will encourage every Jew, even one who thinks perhaps he's a sinner, and therefore he's not eligible to paradise, comes along Kol Yisrael and reminds us and encourages us that every single Jew has a place in the world of resurrection, and therefore by doing another good deed and another good deed, not only will you have a chelek, a part in the world to come, but you will have a ben olam haba, a larger place and a more beautiful place according to the deeds that you do in this world. A story is told that once a chassid from a Hasidic sect came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe at a Yechidus, and the Rebbe asked him, "Tell me, why did your Rebbe preach this past Shabbos?" He said, "You know, it's interesting that you ask, because my Rebbe on this past Shabbos preached the following statement of the Gemara. The Gemara says that even Pirkei Yisrael, even the sinners amongst the Jews, are Meleim mitzvahs kerimain, are filled with mitzvahs like the seeds of the pomegranate." So his Rebbe had a big question. And the question is, he doesn't understand. If the Gemara calls this person a Pirkei Yisrael, if the Gemara calls this person a sinner, how could it be, he questioned, how could it be that a sinner should have so many mitzvahs? It bothered him that the Gemara should say that a sinner should have so many mitzvahs. So the Rebbe said, "You know, I also had a question on this Gemara. My question was the reverse. Being that every Jew is filled with mitzvahs like a pomegranate, how come the Gemara calls them sinners?" That was my question. In other words, two people could look at the same Gemara, and the question is, what's the focus? One is that there's a Pirkei Yisrael, one is there a sinner. If he's a sinner, how could he have mitzvahs? And the other one looks at the Gemara like a lover of Jews, an Oyev Yisrael, and says, "You know, every Jew has mitzvahs, and every Jew has many mitzvahs. If that's the case, how can the Gemara, God forbid, call them a sinner?" And this is the way we have to look at another Jew. We have to know that every Jew is Molei mitzvahs kerima, and every Jew has many, many mitzvahs, and every Jew has a place in the world to come. And every Jew is God's handiwork, that God takes pride in every single Jew. And Kol Yisrael, and every Jew has a place in the world to come. Still no, because we love our fellow Jew as ourselves, it's important that we encourage one the other to do more and more, because Mashiach is about to come. And therefore, one more mitzvah can tip the scale to salvation, and we will see truly chelek leilam haba. We will see the days of Mashiach and the resurrection of the dead speedily in our days.